Good afternoon. This is All About Bitcoin, a show dedicated to all things questions and markets related to Bitcoin. Little b for the currency and Bitcoin, big B for the network. A collective journey to understand, apply, and use this innovation. All Bitcoin, all the time. And I'm your host, Christine Lee, taking a look at the XBX Bitcoin price trading right now at 56,470. It's down almost 2% over the past 24 hours, according to TradeBlock data. The XBX has been the most reliable Bitcoin reference price for institutions since 2014, with billions in assets under management benchmarked against it. And looking at our top stories, Bitcoin internet searches are spiking in Turkey after President Erdogan fired the nation's central bank chief, sending the local currency, the Lira, plunging in foreign exchange markets. Google searches for the term Bitcoin more than quadrupled on Sunday, indicating Turks may be looking for Bitcoin as a potential store of value against further currency weakening or as a hedge against inflation. Meanwhile, Central Bank of Nigeria officials saying that while they are prohibiting crypto transactions in the banking sector, they are not discouraging people from trading them. Last month, Nigeria's central bank ordered financial institutions to shut down all accounts associated with crypto trading. Which brings us to our chart of the day. Cryptocurrencies are banned in Morocco, but peer-to-peer Bitcoin trading platform Local Bitcoins is reporting all-time trading highs this year. February was the platform's best month ever in Morocco in terms of trading volumes, according to Local Bitcoin, saying about $900,000 worth of Bitcoin was traded on the platform through the month. Local Bitcoins also saw a 30% increase in user registrations between 2019 and 2020, with over 700 new accounts created. And joining me now to discuss from San Francisco is Owanda's senior market analyst, Edward Moya. Welcome, Edward. Welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Just wanted to grab your comments on this latest chart on peer-to-peer trading in Morocco. The bear case for Bitcoin critics is governments will ban or heavily restrict Bitcoin, but people seem to find a way around that in Morocco. Is it significant enough?
I think the news is not surprising. I think what we're starting to see is that Morocco, a month ago, they were just talking about how they're looking to launch their own digital currency. So I think these regulatory fears are always going to kind of return. But for the most part, the public seems pretty committed to Bitcoin. And I think that you're going to see the retail and institutional interest is very steady. And right now, there is just too much uncertainty across a lot of the emerging world. And right now, I think you're going to see that there is a lot of comfort with Bitcoin as a store of value, as you kind of pointed out before. And I think there's going to be just continued growing interest as we see prices continue to remain so elevated. And right now, the healthiest thing for Bitcoin is a sustained period of consolidation.
Well, we saw that indeed with Turkey. As the government shows instability, people are turning to Bitcoin. And I just want to get your overview of the BTC markets. What do you see in the near term?
Well, right now, I think the focus is solely on the institutional interest. I think the retail interest has been healthy. It's been steady. And I think what you're going to see is, though, what's going to be needed to move Bitcoin higher is just larger institutional commitments. We're going to have to see filings that announce certain companies are entering big stakes into Bitcoin. And I think right now, you're probably going to have the macro environment remain very healthy for Bitcoin. I think all the signs that from the Federal Reserve and the ECB really suggest that we're going to have a heavy accommodation, ultra dovish stance by these central banks for quite some time. I think that the rest of this year, we're probably going to still see more stimulus come into place, and that is not going to change anytime soon. And this diverging view that we're seeing with other central banks, there's this belief that inflation is happening across the emerging markets. And if that is the case, you're probably going to see inflation hedges really start to, I think, gain steam in the second half of the year. And for many investors, Bitcoin is becoming that trade. And I think today a lot of people are taking note to Fed Chair Powell's comments about the crypto markets. And I think what you're going to see is that Bitcoin, as the Fed chair highlighted, is kind of going to replace gold in some instances. So I think there's this
That's
excitement
right.
that
That's
Bitcoin
right. So
interest
yeah, there
is
is news
there.
that Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that Bitcoin could be better for gold, better than cash. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think right now what you're starting to see is central banks. They're in the early stages of doing their research as far as how are we going to successfully launch a digital currency. And right now, I think everyone knows that Bitcoin has really led by example and is the preferred investment for people in the cryptoverse. And I think you're going to see that the Fed is probably years away from providing their coin. China is maybe a couple of years from the digital yuan, the ECB maybe 4 years. The Fed is going to be much later than that. So I think you probably have a couple good years of just Bitcoin really just being the only option out there or main option out there. And eventually regulatory concerns will start to become more relevant. But right now, I think we've had different countries come out with their kind of hesitancies towards Bitcoin, and they've all been short-lived, whether it was India or Morocco or Nigeria. I think you're going to see that those stories are going to kind of fade into the background.
Right. So this morning, we actually had a chance to talk to an influential trader and chartist, Peter Brandt, on the Factor Report on some of his long-term views of Bitcoin. Have a listen.
We're looking at really a once-in-a-lifetime type of situation in terms of price action. But should we go to the top of the channel as it's drawn in there, and should we continue along the parabolic advance we have anchored in the March 2020 low and then co-anchored off of the October low of last year? We're looking at the possibility of Bitcoin going up into the 180 to 200 level by the early in the fourth quarter of this year.
All right, Edward, 200,000 Bitcoin by September. What do you think?
I think that's a very aggressive call. I think that the path for Bitcoin is higher. I think that you're probably going to see that it will, I think, be a lot harder to reach that 100,000 mark than many people are anticipating. But I think there's a good chance that you could see that happen by year end. I think what you're going to start to see, the market is going to become more focused on ESG. The amount of energy consumption is going to, I think, draw a lot more criticism. But I think in the end that you're going to see Bitcoin is going to probably remain, I think, very strong because that demand is still growing. It's in infancy for the institutional side, but I think that you're going to see that it's going to be a lot harder to kind of break past 100,000 in the short term. But I do anticipate that should happen by year end.
Oh, and we just heard also news from the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, previously a Bitcoin critic, predicting Bitcoin hitting $100,000 in an interview with Fortune. I wonder, where do you think we are right now in the overall bull trend? Bitcoin is near all-time highs, with some fear that they missed the rally and it's too expensive to buy right now. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a big concern, and I think you're seeing that more so on the REIT side. I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these other coins, Ethereum or HBAR, or there's so many, Cardano, that are attracting a lot more interest. And I think what you're probably going to see is that investors, they are really trying to find, what's going to be the next, big blockchain coin out there. And I think that as long as you have an investment into the cryptocurrency markets, that's healthy for Bitcoin. I think in the end, what you're going to probably see is that the way cryptocurrency traders are going to evolve their portfolios, you're going to have Bitcoin be probably the biggest portfolio, and then you're going to diversify into some of these other coins. But I think that you're still going to see that the demand is growing, and a lot of investors are pretty excited that you're going to have, I think, probably more accelerated moves higher with some of those other coins. But Bitcoin is probably going to be the main stablehood for many traders.
Great. Edward, thank you for joining us this afternoon and your insights and your outlook on Bitcoin.
Thank you.
All right. That was Awanda's senior market analyst, Edward Moya. Coming up, rethinking credit card rewards with Bitcoin. Imagine earning Bitcoin rewards with a credit card. Joining me now from San Francisco with more is Fold Growth lead Hillary Miller. Welcome, Hillary. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon, Hillary.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so explain Fold to us. So Fold app offers Bitcoin rewards through credit card purchases, but what do you offer that's different from other credit cards? Is it better privacy?
Sure.
Is it better rewards?
Yeah, so Fold is in its current state a Bitcoin-backed debit card. So basically, we give you Bitcoin back on every purchase, and we offer variable rewards, which is one of our unique value propositions. So every time you swipe your Fold card, you are prompted to spin this spin wheel. And if you've used the Fold app, you see that everything kind of revolves around this spin wheel. We're all about financial fun instead of financial stress. So through the spin wheel, we offer, again, variable rewards on every purchase you make. And it's enabled some of our early card holders to stack, 1 million plus sats and earn back their annual fee.
That's really cool because, what kind of rewards are they earning in Bitcoin? That must have been pretty lucrative for some users, no?
Yep, for sure. And I think, we launched the card at a really interesting time. We started onboarding our early access users back in November. And, that's when a lot of us were stuck at home because of the pandemic. So people were seeing this lack of needing their airline miles that they had stacked up with other cards, or their points were becoming useless. So earning Bitcoin back has certainly gained more appeal, and we're definitely getting a lot more traction because of that.
Well, I saw on Will Reeves, the CEO of Fold, on his Twitter, he said that people who had made purchases suddenly saw the rewards actually meet those purchases and then some. So I'm wondering, who is using this app? How many users? What kind of interest are you getting?
Yeah. So our waitlist for the Fold card just surpassed over 200,000 users. That being said, we are still in early access. We're wrapping it up soon, but it's essentially this invite-only beta period for us. So we've onboarded thousands of cardholders and have already processed, millions of dollars in transactions. And we're hoping to open up the invites to the Fold card pretty soon so we can onboard more folks from that 200,000 person waitlist.
Okay. It's tax time. So I'm wondering, what kind of tax obligations do consumers have when they receive Bitcoin rewards? When they spend or sell that Bitcoin, no matter how small the amount, isn't that a taxable event subject to capital gains taxes?
That's a good question. We always encourage our users to seek outside tax consultant tax help. We try not to give any kind of tax advice, but basically, when you're using the Fold app, you're never selling your sats at any point. You're stacking them, and then you can withdraw them. So we kind of try to stay out of the taxable side of it.
So wait, every time you withdraw them, is that a taxable event?
We don't see that as a taxable event, but again, we do encourage everybody to seek their own tax advice for sure.
Okay. And I wonder, how does the economics work? Just wondering, with credit cards, often the criticism is that the credit cards are taking a big fee out of, that feeds into merchants and, results in high costs for users. How does your model work?
Yeah, so we're powered by the Visa network. And I guess the long and short of it is that, for right now, we are just a debit card, which has lower fees for the merchants. We don't have a credit card offering yet. And I think, we're all about supporting small businesses. So we're going to continue to get feedback from that community and do what we can to make sure it's viable on both sides.
All right. Hillary, thanks for joining us and explaining to us some credit card rewards or debit card rewards through Bitcoin.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Fold growth lead Hillary Miller. And that's it for All About Bitcoin. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in New York for First Mover, your first look at the day's global crypto news headlines with special guest Grayscale CEO Michael Sonnenschein. You're watching CoinDesk TV.